All right, so when it comes to Amazon FBA, I think there's only two long-term business models on the platform, and that's private label and Amazon wholesale. I've been very clear from that since the beginning of this channel that those are the two models that I think are made for the long term. So you can create a business that's going to last you years and years to come, that you aren't going to have to be running in and out of stores like arbitrage. Not to say arbitrage is bad. I just think there's a time and a place. So if you want to scale and you want to grow your business and you want to have a long-term business model, I think wholesale and private label are the two models to get into. But in this video, I'm going to tell you what are the differences between private label and Amazon wholesale. Differences I haven't really gone into in other videos, and I want to clear this up because I keep getting questions about, okay, how are you supposed to do this in wholesale if in private label you do this, or how do you do this if private label is this way? So I want to clear the air, get all the differences out there. It's not to sway you in one way or the other. It's just to clear everything up so that you know, all right, I want to go with private label or I want to go with Amazon wholesale. What's going on, guys? Marvin here. Welcome back to another video. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn your post notifications on so you don't miss any of my future videos. And also make sure to hit the thumbs up button because it does help the channel grow and I'll really appreciate it. Also check down in the description. There's a bunch of resources for you guys. Free trainings, free Facebook group, my Instagram's down there. All that good stuff is down there. So just make sure to always check it out. All right, so what are the differences between private label and Amazon wholesale? Now, like I said, they're both good business models to get into. Obviously, I prefer Amazon wholesale, and there are a ton of differences when it comes to these two business models. So many differences, and we're going to get into that. All right, so let's start with private label. Private label is what I would call the complicated method. It's much more complex in the steps you have to take, in the approach you have to go through, in the product research. There's just so many more steps and so many more ways that you can go wrong with private label. So let's get into it. So we're going to start with product research. And in this scenario, we already have our businesses created, okay? So you don't have to worry about that. We're going to just start with the steps. What do you have to do once you're already created? You already have an Amazon account. You're already ready to go, okay? So now what's the next step? All right, so if we're starting with private label, as far as product research goes, you're basing everything off of educated guesses, right? They're educated guesses and you studying the market. But there's no like concrete real data of real numbers that you are going to get because your product isn't there yet. You're just basing it off of, what is everybody else getting? What are the numbers on everybody else's sales? But remember, these brands that were created already have a piece of that market. So now you have to come in and differentiate, improve, and make adjustments that are going to appeal to customers, right? Not that your product research isn't going to be solid, but at the end of the day, it's an educated guess. You're not going off of real data for your specific product because your product doesn't exist. You're going off of the market and hoping you're going to take some of those customers and bring them into your market, right? That's the goal. So a lot of educated guesses, and it's just not as concrete as you would with Amazon wholesale, which we're going to get into later. All right, so now you found a product, you found the winning product in the winning market that you want to go into. You want to create it, you want to put your own brand on it, right? Because at the end of the day, private label, you get a product, you put your brand on it. Now it's yours. So let's go over the steps. So you're going to have to find a manufacturer that's going to be able to create that product that you want with the design you want, with the box that you want, with your brand on it. Then you have to send your money overseas to that manufacturer. You're going to have to buy UPC codes, possibly other labels, because you are creating a brand new product. Then you have to worry about sea and air shipping. Sea shipping is cheaper, but it takes way longer. Air shipping is more expensive, but it's a little bit faster. Sometimes you're gonna have to deal with a freight forwarder at certain times, not all the time. You're also gonna have to worry about customs. And then step number 8 is when your product arrives at the Amazon warehouse and you're all done, good to go, right? Wrong. So now after your product has arrived, and hopefully you've already started doing this beforehand so that when it does arrive, you're ready to go, are additional steps. So let's go over those. So because it's a brand new product, you have to create a brand new listing. You have to do keyword research so that you can put the right keywords on the title, in the description, on the back end, so that people can find your product. Then you have to take photographs yourself or send them to a photographer on Fiverr and optimize those photos. Then you have to do a description, optimize the description, do a title, optimize the title based off of your keyword research. And then you have to worry about getting reviews because if you don't have any reviews on that product, nobody's gonna buy your product. And now you can go through all of those steps, all of the steps we just mentioned. And if you don't nail this last part, you could be what my mom calls a screw. And that's marketing, right? PPC, Amazon PPC, pay per click. If you don't know how to market your product properly, your product isn't going to survive. It isn't going to rank on the first page, which that's where 90% of the sales come, is the first page. And if you can't get on that, your product most likely is going to be a dud. It's not going to survive. It's not going to grow. And that's another problem. It's not a problem. It's just a difference from private label, is that you're starting out with one product. Your business lives and dies off of that one product. Instead of being a little bit more diverse, you are basing everything off of one product. And let's say you do air shipping. It takes you a month or two to get the shipment in. Well, now let's say there's 50 more competitors with the exact same product as you in the market that you weren't expecting, right? So now you're competing with tons more people that have a pretty comparable product that you have, right? It's very, very similar. So those are just things to keep in mind, because like I said, it's the more complicated method. Is it possible? Absolutely. People have very, very large businesses based off of the private label model, and I think it's one of the long-term business models to get into, but I call it the complicated way for a reason. But some of you guys have experience with marketing, with design, with creating your own products, and if you do and that appeals to you, then that might be the way that you want to go. But now let's talk about Amazon Wholesale. Amazon Wholesale, I call it the simple way, right? Because it's a fraction of the number of steps you have to take. We aren't doing product research first. Let's say we're going to find the supplier first, because you can either do product research first, or you can find the supplier first, get a list, get on an email list that they have, and then find a product from there. We're finding the supplier, right? That's the route we're taking. We're going to find a US-based supplier, because if we're selling in the US marketplace, we want a US-based supplier. We don't want to have to ship anything overseas. We want everything to be legit, no counterfeits, nothing like that. We're going to find a US-based supplier that carries the brands that we want, right? Hasbro, Mattel, Sony, Microsoft, whatever it may be. Then we're going to look through their list and see what they have. And if they have a product that we want, we're going to place an order and ship it to Amazon. That's it. You're done. Once it arrives at Amazon's warehouse, you can adjust price if you need to, but that's realistically it. Find a supplier, find a product, send it to Amazon. You're done. I mean, realistically, those are the steps that you have to take. If you've already created your business and now you've found the product, then that's all you have to do. You could literally go from opening a wholesale account with the supplier and having your product made available for sale within a week. I've done it before many, many times. My students have done it. It's very, very possible, because that's how quick the turnaround rate is, because you are in the US, you're dealing with US suppliers. And with Amazon Wholesale, you don't have to worry about a bunch of stuff that you had to worry about with private label, like reviews, keyword research, descriptions, photos, PPC. You don't have to do any of that. You don't even have to create a listing, because the listings already exist. You're just jumping on the already existing listing and selling there. So just think about wholesale like arbitrage on a much larger scale, and that's wholesale, right? With arbitrage, you find a product, you send it in, and the listing's already created for you, right? So that's the same thing with wholesale. These products already exist on Amazon. Now with product research, let's say you're looking up a product on Amazon that you want to buy from your supplier. You're looking up the data from that exact same product. All of your decisions are data driven. You don't have to guess on competitors' data, because you're going off of the data for that exact same product that you want to buy, right? So there's no guesswork. You're going off of how many sellers are there, what's the price, what's the highs, what's the lows, what's the history, how far back does it go, what's the sales rank. All of this data that you can go off of, so it's not an educated guess, it's data-driven decisions. And I think the simplicity is why I was so drawn to Amazon Wholesale and just making it work, as opposed to private label, because I've done all the business models. I've done retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, wholesale, and private label. But wholesale is what I stuck to. Wholesale is what I grew. And that's what appealed to me the most. And I think it was the simplicity of it, because at the end of the day, arbitrage is easy, right? It's just finding the products, but you don't have to do all this complicated stuff. Wholesale is the same exact way. It's just super simple. So those are the differences between private label and Amazon Wholesale in regards to Amazon FBA, because I want you guys to know which direction you want to go. Because the last thing you want to do is do what I did, do all of them, and then lose some money in the process to find the right one, right? Which the right one for me was wholesale, like I said. But if for you it's private label, then now you know the things that you're going to have to do. And the steps that I went over with private label, I'm sure there's more steps now, because I haven't done that in a while, right? I'm talking about private label from a while back. So the steps you're going to have to take is probably a little bit further. All right, guys, but I do get a ton of questions in regards to differences between wholesale, private label, a ton of confusion out there on YouTube, because there's not a lot of us out there. There's not a lot of people talking about wholesale. So I completely get it. Super happy to make this video and hopefully clear everything up for you. Let me know down below if you're going to do wholesale, if you're going to do private label, if you're going to stick to arbitrage, whatever you're going to do, let me know down below. But the last thing I'll leave you with is just take the time to really evaluate, okay, what are my strengths? What am I good at? Which direction should I go? What's the safest bet for my investment? and then make a decision then. Because the last thing you want to do is rush into a business model and start spending a bunch of money and realize, okay, that business model isn't for me. I should have done wholesale, or I should have done private label, or I should have stuck with arbitrage, whatever that may be. So don't rush, evaluate what I told you today, and then make your decision that way. All right, guys, but if you want to know how to do Amazon wholesale step by step, I laid it all out for you guys in the video on the screen. So check it out, and I'll show you exactly how to go from step 1 to the end step and everything in between. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video.